Yeah, it takes me longer to find my fermenter than it does the rest of the process. I entered blindly into the nationals and I got a 34. I think we got a winner.
Well, hi, everybody. I am with Chris Graham of More Beer. Always have a blast talking to him. I've had trouble cornering him because he's been doing a lot of travel lately. So I've had to put off a big question. So my big question is, I've heard they have some neat, new, simplified home brewing, but I haven't been able to get in touch with him yet. So I just thought I would call up Chris today and see if he could share with me this new process. So talk about the new kit you've got.
Well, thanks for having me on, Doug. It's always good to talk to you, and we are super excited about this. It's been, almost 2 years in the making, so lots of refinements, tweaks, and improvements, but let's talk about Flash Brewing, and that's what we're calling it. I want to premise a few things. The goal, because I think there's a little bit of misconstruction or misbelief that we're trying to get rid of all grain or get rid of extract brewing. That's not it at all. The idea of this is, I think it's just kind of another platform. Very similar to both all grain and extract with slight twists. At Mitchell Brew Day, we've got down to 8-10 minutes as opposed to 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6 hours.
Wait, 8 to 10 minutes?
Yeah, it takes me longer to find my fermenter than it does the rest of the process. So,
no kidding. Wow. Yeah. And hence the name Flash?
Exactly. That's exactly it. It is just you're brewing in a flash. And really, we want people to have that first initial great experience. And there's so many variables as a homebrewer, as you know, and many of your audience knows. Do you have great fermentation temp control? Do you have this, that, the other? You know, there's so many things that people talk about their first batch of beer and not usually in a loving way. And what we're trying to do is have that initial good experience, because how many people have you met along the way too? Like, oh, I tried someone's homebrew, it wasn't so good. So they just have this assumption that homebrewing is just always bad. So if we can knock down that time commitment, knock down the chances of bad beer, then, you know, put people on their best foot forward going forward. Then we've seen a whole lot of people with life changes, meaning they brewed like crazy, traveled like crazy, whatever it is, and kids, you know, whatever, life gets in the way. They want to make a batch of beer, but they don't really want to commit that time frame. And how many people I talk to are like, oh, I brewed so much and I loved it. I loved everything about it, but I just don't have the time anymore. So we're hoping this kind of helps some of them get back into the hobby without that time commitment. From a quality of beer standpoint, this is going to be good beer. Is it going to be the best you've ever had? Probably not. Is this going to be horrible? No. I entered blindly into the nationals and I got a 34. Pretty darn good for something that is, you know, and everything was talking about drinkable and this, that, and the other. So that's what I kind of wanted. I kind of was, to be honest, saying that this gets a 29, I am satisfied. Because that, to me, should be a good drinkable beer. And that's, if we can get people making their first batch, that is a good drinkable beer, I think we got a winner. So we'll break it down a little bit. You know, it comes, we try to simplify it. We try to dumb it down. We're not trying to create a whole new revolution, but we are using specifically DME that is already boiled for you. So your malt is already pre-done. We're adding things into that. It's a bit proprietary. We're trying to keep it that way, but to ensure success. Then we are using already isomerized hops in the form of oil so that you can get your bitterness without having to do a boil in order to extract it. We're using mostly cryo hops. And what we found with those is we can add them pre-fermentation and still get killer flavor and aroma for them through the fermentation. They don't lose it as much. And then the yeast, we have our first strain now that we call Flash Brewing strain yeast, but we're actually working with a couple manufacturers on maybe some future ones too. But this yeast is kind of cool in that is real good at dropping pH fast, meaning puts you in a safe place quicker, and pretty temperature tolerant. I've done experiments with it in the 70s, high 60s, 70s, 80s, and low 90s, and even a little bit above that, and it's not making tons of fusel alcohol or anything like that. It's fairly clean, and so it allows that first-time brewer ease. They don't have to have this. So a lot of my experiments have been when making a video or brewing an all-grain batch, and I just want to have a little extra beer. This is like my second beer of the day. Like you spend 6 hours making a nice all-grain lager or whatnot, and then I just whip this up, and essentially to eliminate the risk of contamination, since I'm talking to mostly people who know what they're doing, we basically have them sanitize the fermenter in a pretty easy way, and then dump that out, pour in about 1 gallon of their water, 5-gallon batch right now. We're working on smaller sizes, which I'll follow shortly, but we figured why not cater to what we already know, and perfect it. We want to make sure we really perfect it well, which I think the first few kits we've nailed. We're hoping to come out with more as we keep going. Basically adding your malt, your flash brewing malt, after the 1 gallon, and then your yeast, your hops, both bitterness and aroma and flavor, and topping it up. No need to stir, and that's where we're kind of helping to reduce that chance of adding a whole new bacteria subset and just set it and forget it. The yeast is pretty good in that I tend to find it finishes me out, as long as I'm not too cold, in well under a week. If it's maybe in the low 60s, I'm a little fearful, but I don't think for most people that's a big problem. If it's in their indoors area, that shouldn't be a problem. And then from then on out, it's the same as anything else, but we're trying to make it really simple whip form of, we've got carbonation drops that they put in a bottle, a flip top bottle, fill it right off of the fermenter, and you're done. It's that easy, where they're not needing to transfer, i.e. another place of bacteria pickup and oxygen pickup, which we've all had that before if they're not good at it yet. So we're trying to just reduce each area that can be a potential contaminant or bad beer flavor pickup point.
You just got natural carbonation, which I guess takes another 2 weeks to 10 days,
depending.
Yeah.
Now, if someone's a homebrewer already and has a kegging setup, there's no reason. I've been doing all kegging, to be honest. I'm not doing a whole lot of bottle conditioning. But for the brand new brewer, it is easy. And again, not trying to introduce how to use a bottle cap or how to handle your cups, or how to do all that kind of stuff. We're trying to just keep it as simple as possible.
So what styles do you have?
I know some of the most popular ones right now is I Heart IPA, the Blonde Ale. We took some of our most popular kits that we feel would be a good conversion and just made ones of that and did the beta testing to make sure those came out. But a lot of that kind of beer, which is the most popular, the IPAs, the Pale Ales, the Blonde Ales, we're not yet getting into a barrel-aged bourbon stout or whatnot. That's going to require a lot more engineering to make those.
So how do we get these kits? And are they readily available?
Yeah. We launched them a couple weeks ago, and they've been flying off the shelf. In fact, I just happened to be by production, and they're making a whole bunch more. So morebeer.com, right there on the homepage right now. And then if they're not on the homepage, just type in Flash and you'll find them easily. So
what else do we need besides the kit itself? If I've got a neighbor and he's been interested in my home brews, if I said, hey, this is the Flash kit you need, what about the bottles and things like that?
We sell a Flash brewing equipment kit if they want to start, kind of like any other starter kit where you get your sanitizer and things like that to get going. Your bottling wand, because we're having you do it, like I said, in the fermenter and then bottling right off. It becomes with tubing and the bottling, the flip top bottles, the carbonation drops, and anything else you need to brew that batch. But if you are already a brewer, you already have everything you need. We are actually working on smaller sizes. That'll be the next iteration of this. And then we're also working on inexpensive kegging setups, both at the 5-gallon and at the smaller sizes. So, the traditional homebrewing kegging, especially since corny kegs are getting harder to get used, that's a pretty big investment for someone to get into. Some of these will be at 30% the cost if we can figure out all the little details of what a traditional one would be.
Well, I look forward to seeing you at the next event. I look forward to following up with you and letting you know how my flash brewing went. Awesome. And hopefully we'll run into each other at another event, and I want to catch up with you maybe in a few months and hear what's new.